I'm Sandra Wegman, for those of you who don't know me. And as Helena mentioned, I'm the chairperson of the school board. And I'm so happy to be here in person with everybody tonight. So, welcome. I think this evening will be lovely and a point to mark the moving up of the students from the main Hebrew school into the Hebrew High. And we are so happy to have you here. Thank you.
So before Rabbi Klein speaks and gives his charge to the graduates, there's a family group right over there. Right over there, Michael. This year is really different, and it's been a different year for the students, a different year for us. Each year at graduation, we give awards, mostly 3 major awards to 3 really superior students. And I'll be honest with you, the truth was, when the time came to look at and say, well, who should get these awards, there was no way to figure it out. Because this group, you guys, have been extraordinary. You really have, and you deserve a round of applause. Your attendance has been extraordinary. Your participation has been extraordinary. Each day, I would look and say, where are the absences? People came to classes almost every day. Granted, of course, everyone had to miss a couple of days, but your attendance and your participation, your engagement and involvement was really special. As a result, the people who usually support and sponsor the awards for our students for our 6th grade upped their donations to the awards, and instead of giving 3 or 4 students awards, every one of you is getting an award. And that award is a book, the Jewish Book of Why, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And as you'll see, this is really not graduation, because you guys are not leaving Jewish education. Next year is 7th grade in the Hebrew high school. It's just you're moving on to a different form of learning. So you're going to be learning in the Hebrew high school where you choose classes. There are a couple of classes that are required, but otherwise you choose the classes that you want to learn, things that you want to learn about. So next year is very different, and in addition, we have special times, and this is really important for people to know about, special times where families, parents, and students learn together in small groups. So we meet either at people's houses if COVID restrictions allow it, or meet here, or meet at Starbucks, or meet at Bagel Plaza, and learn together for 45 minutes about things that people want to learn about. Some of the things we could do is literally look at the Jewish Book of Why and look at some of the questions and start talking about the answers in this book. But basically, it's an opportunity for parents and students to learn together about something that they want to know about. So, for instance, if you've always wondered about your ancestry and what about where did we come from and where did Jews come from, that could be something you could talk about. Or if you want to learn about a particular law, particular halakha, that's something we could talk about. So even though those little boxes have graduation caps on them, I don't view this as graduation. That's why we call it moving up, because you're moving up. You know, like how you make aliyah to Israel, which is go up. You're moving up in education. You're moving up to a more sophisticated way of learning, to a more in-depth way of learning, to reaching real understanding of Judaism as a young adult. You know, one of my great teachers, who was a Holocaust survivor, and he died this summer in his 90s, he was someone who invented the Adoptive Survivor Program. He thought of it. And my school, when I was at Temple Israel in Great Neck, was the first place to have the Adoptive Survivor Program. And what that was you adopted a survivor. Students really got to know a survivor deeply and meaningfully, so that, as Irv Roth would say to me, he would say, 50 years from now, when I'm not here, and people say the Holocaust didn't happen, there'll be students who'll say, oh no, I know what happened because I know that my survivor lived in this town and played these kinds of games and these kinds of activities, and this is what happened to him, and this is what happened to his family. And Irv quoted something to me that I never thought of before. He said, most American Jews have pediatric Judaism. They've pediatrics. They have stopped their Jewish learning at 13. And it's so important to not stop there, because you just have begun. You're all in a place where you've just begun learning about Judaism and begun understanding everything that Judaism has to offer you. You may think you know a lot, which is great. It's the best if you think you know a lot. But there is so much more to learn. I am still learning, and I'm pretty old. So there is much that there is still to learn. So next year, when you are moving up, is when you will begin your real education. So that is why, even though they're graduation caps, because it's too cute, but the gift that's in there from, I'll give you the sisterhood, Eve Perlmutter, the sisterhood in honor of a woman named Beverly Silverberg, who is someone who was a wonderful member of the synagogue and gave so much of her time. So that's Eve. Sisterhood gives a lot of money, and they doubled how much they gave. Eve Perlmutter, whose husband was a men's club member and was a person who loved students and welcomed students all the time, she doubled the amount that she gave. Irene Levenbook, who established the Portnoy Award after her grandson, who died of brain cancer when he was 6 years old, and she gave money that she gives to a student to encourage Jewish learning. The school board all chipped in for the first time. Sandra Wegman, our school board chair, also chipped in. As a result, we have in those little boxes a $50 Amazon gift card for each student. It's for you. It's for you to buy something that's meaningful for you. Something to just say, we're saying thank you for being such wonderful students this year. And you deserve that honor. So that is what everyone's going to be getting this year. So, thank you for the generosity. So, without further ado, Rabbi Klein is going to give his charge to the graduates.
Thank you, Mora Helena. Mazel tov, Yiladim, parents. And I just want to say one thing first about Mora Helena, and then about our teachers. We all know that we have lived through the worst of times. The worst of times. We all know what you endured. We all know what we feared. We all know what it has been like. But I have to tell you that Mora Helena, for all these, 15 months? Every single week, every single day, her concern about you, the Yiladim, her students, our students, was never ending. Never ending. And I know this year and the end of last year was far from the way anyone wanted it to be. It's the way it was, it's the way we thought it had to be. And we missed you. We missed having you all these days. We were robbed. We were robbed of a year and a half of having you in the school. We were robbed of a year and a half of having been able to look at you and help you understand more about our tradition, about Judaism. So that's something I feel terrible about, because as some of you know, you are my last graduating class. That's it. The first thing that I presided over, so to speak, back in 1978, when I came in early June of 78, was Hebrew school graduation. Back then we were really tough. You had to stay in Hebrew school till the first week of June, okay, and go 3 days a week, plus Shabbos. So, you're my last class, the last time I'll be able to speak to a group of Yiladim, and I really feel that I was robbed of being able to be with you, to see you, to have you in a class, in person. Well, here's what I want to say to you. You know, a long time ago, when I was in college, and I was just talking to Sandra Wegman because I'm a little bit older, but we went to the same college. When I was going to college, I was planning on becoming a lawyer. What else? I'll become a lawyer. And I went to Israel 50 years ago, my junior year in college. And one of the first sites I visited was Yad Vashem, Israel's memorial to the Shoah, to the 6 million. And I remember the experience. I walked out of that museum having really been changed by what I saw. I had always known there was a Shoah, Holocaust, but I was like you. I went to Hebrew school. I was feeling all the things that you're feeling. Why am I in Hebrew school? Why am I doing this? You know? And preparing for bar mitzvah. Okay, I did it. Okay? And I wasn't thinking ever 50 years ago that it would wind up being a rabbi. Listen, it wasn't on the top of my list at all. First baseman for the New York Yankees? Okay. Then a lawyer. So I went to the Holocaust Museum, and some of those images just, bam, it took me over. And I walked out and I said, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? You know, it's nice to be a lawyer. Due respect to all the lawyers here. It's nice to be a lawyer. But in my heart, I feel that the most important thing I could do with my life is be a part of the Jewish people. In my heart, I felt. Okay, it looks good. Looks good. So in my heart, I said to myself, how can I not devote my life to this people, to my people? How can I not devote my life to trying to help rebuild Jewish life that had been so destroyed during the Shoah, during the Holocaust? And right then and there, I was in Israel. And in those days, by the way, there were no cell phones, kids. I don't know how to write it. No email, no text, no nothing. All right? It was a payphone. That's all there was. And you would get what we would call a simonim, little tokens to drop in the payphone. And if you were going to call home in New York, you better have about 100 of them. So I found a payphone. I called my parents. I said, Mom, Dad, I decided I'm going to be a rabbi. Well, they picked my mother up from the floor. And she got accustomed to the idea. I called my rabbi, who I'm still very close with. Thank God he's a man about 90 now. I said, Rabbi, I want to be a rabbi. So he still jokes about that. Still jokes about that. Thank God I can still talk with him. I've known him for 65 years. It's amazing. So I say this to you, why? Because I'm not asking you to become rabbis. I didn't ask that of my kids. I wouldn't ask it of you. All right? I'm not asking you to become a rabbi. But what I want to ask you to think about seriously is taking who you are as a Jew very much to heart. And appreciating and understanding how much each one of you are needed for the Jewish future. How much? We're a people who need people. We need our people. We need our people to want to care about other Jews. Yes, to care about the world. By the way, we invented the idea of caring about the world. We invented that about 3,000 years ago. To care about the world, but to care about us, the Jewish people, because we need a new generation who want to keep it in their heart and soul and spirit that there's something to be enormously proud about in being Jewish. There's something enormously proud about being a part of this heritage. every morning in my prayers in the Siddur, I say, Ashreinu Matov Tokenu, which means how enriched, how blessed we are to have this tradition. Every morning I say that. And having been a rabbi now for 45 years, you know, I have to tell you, it may not be what I intended to be, but it's where I wound up going. And in a certain sense, I feel it's where I needed to be for me, to feel that I was doing in my life what I needed to do. So, Yiladim, it's graduation. We're proud of you. We hope and pray that life will be good and sweet and wonderful for each one of you. But please never forget for a moment, that you carry in your bones, you carry in your spirit generations of Jews. And every one of those generations are hoping and praying that you will forever be someone who feels it a privilege and a joy and an honor and a blessing to be a proud Jew in this world. So, mazel tov to each one of you. God bless each one of you. And, well, we'll miss you. I'll miss you. I'll miss you a lot. And take care. Bye.
Still on? A couple of other things I just want to introduce because most of you haven't ever met some of your teachers. So up here is Nora Yapa. And Nora Farid is going to wave her hand. Nora Iri and Nora Ronit.
All you guys come over, so the teachers are going to help give out the awards. What we're giving you. Teachers, come on over. Maura Sarin, Maura Iri, Maura Ronit, come on over. Also, very important, those people who made their, this is, I almost forgot to tell you this. Those people who made the slate a couple of weeks ago, we have them here. And for those who did not come and would like to come, this coming Sunday, but Kay is doing the same thing on Sunday. So if any of you would like to come and paint your very own Seder plate, might as well come and get no rebounds. Come on up and get yours. And Leah, So just to give you some ideas of what you can do this Sunday. We're going to back up the Passover. Some ideas. Get started. Maxwell. Maxwell So if anyone would like to come, no requirement obviously, if you would like to come, just email me tomorrow or Friday, and as long as they're I'm happy to do it. It's going to be outside, okay, so it's going to get better raining. If it's raining, we just come in and it's Memorial Day next weekend. So, but if anyone's interested in coming up, also one other thing, anyone who has made a statement, because next year we don't have arts and crafts program, so I've now started a new thing for the gift class, so ceramics, so anyone who's already made a statement would like to come and paint a Kiddush cup that's also going to be inspired to add it out for art, please come. Just let me know. Okay? So it's limited space because there are only so many Kiddush cups and Seder plates, but there's room for you. So if you would like to come. Okay. So, I went down.
When you come up, yeah, when you come up, and this is what I'm going to read about each child was something that was talked about from all your teachers. We went back to last year's, to Hey teachers and Dollar teachers, and we tried very hard, just to be true to each student, and so it's short, but they're meaningful, and we really mean what's said here. These are not false praise. They really are. So each student that's going to come up is going to get what I read. It's going to go to Rabbi Klein for your diploma. Go to Maura Reed and Maura Ronit for your book. Maura Sarit is going to give you the Maura Sarit got the good one. Although really Maura Yap got the really good one. And what we did was we got a cake pop, and of course the graduate, the mover, the sixth grader, the Vav student, gets to decide who gets what. My intention was to give a cake pop to the sixth grader who's moving up, and to give cookies to the rest of the families. But it's yours to decide, however you wish. Okay? So, Emma, you bring a wonderful spirit. Emma, you bring a wonderful spirituality to the classroom. You are kind, respectful, with a positive outlook and attitude. Always a pleasure in all of your classes. Violet, you are so kind to all. You work beautifully with others and bring so much of yourself to everything you learn. Your curiosity enriches your classes with a motivation to move forward, and you always contribute in such positive ways. Jacob Belitsky. Jacob, stand right there. You exhibit such a positive outlook and attitude with a wonderful connection to Judaism. Your smile says it all. You are thoughtful, resourceful, imaginative, and tell great jokes. Alec Locke. Alec, you have a wonderful attitude. You're always present and stepping up to help your teachers or your peers. And something got cut out here, and people really like you. Your friends are really appreciative of you. I'm sorry that got cut out. Scott Braderman. Scott, your great sense of humor and your ever-present happiness brings joy to those around you. You are actively involved, always willing to help, and your warmth affects everyone in the best possible way. Eva Cohen. Eva, your range of knowledge is so impressive. Your love of learning is a joy to see, always researching above and beyond what we are studying, with your desire to know and understand more and more. By the way, every year what we usually do is we have the teachers say these things, because the teachers and I work together to come up with all of these phrases, but because the mic is not supposed to go from person to person, that's why. Otherwise your teachers would be saying these things. Noah Diamond. Noah, you have a wonderful sense of humor with a true enjoyment and enthusiasm in learning, which makes you a joy to teach. You set an example of excellence in everything you do. Sophie, you are a bright spark. Your joyful spirit enriches your classes with your love of learning. You're a creative student with a fun sense of humor. Adam Franklin. Adam, you are an enthusiastic learner who has a great memory and always asks challenging questions. Your curiosity and desire to know raises the level of the discussions with your sophisticated engagement. Delilah Freeman. Delilah, you are willing to engage with the world. You are so motivated to learn and know more, and to share your thoughts and ideas with others. You enrich the learning around you and are such an asset to your classes. Mia Gallagher. Mia, you bring kindness and maturity in all your interactions with others, as well as determination to learn, never giving up. Your positive attitude brightens your classes. Brooke Goodman. Brooke, you are so kind to others, always setting an example of wonderful behavior and cooperation, always willing to take chances in classes, enriching the classes with your participation and great attitude. Noah Greenbaum. Noah, you have an impressive understanding and depth of knowledge about your interests and take active roles in discussions and as King Achashverosh. Great participation with such a passion to know and learn more and more each day. Mason Aretano. Mason, you have a quiet strength, always happy to help others when needed. Your self-reliance is admirable, and your positive attitude, willingness to learn is just great. Julia Isaac. Julia, your enthusiasm shines. Time and again you show how much you care about others and about being a wonderful participant in all aspects of our learning. You have made your classes a better place. Aaron Jacob.
Keith. And what is this?
Yes.
You can do that part-time, Rabbi.
Aaron Jacobs. Aaron, it is such a pleasure to have you in classes. You adapt to new challenges so easily and have shown yourself to be a flexible and wonderful learner. What also got ousted from here is that you also have really learned to and really showed how much you enjoyed choreography play and its spiritual component. Molly Labby. Molly, you have such a positive outlook and attitude in your classes at Shabbat Alive and in all aspects of Jewish life. Your ever-present willingness to help or reach out to your peers or your teachers is refreshing, as is your engagement with the Jewish community around you. Sadie Labby. Sadie, your connections with your peers is so strong and positive, and your kindness in working with them is great to see. Somehow, Ellen, when she copied these, took the wrong. So, Sadie, there's more stuff. I might as well. I'll write it to you so you'll know it was there. So it was also that your compassion is really evident in everything you do. Sammy Lapidus. Sammy, you always exceed expectations with the quality of your work, taking such a positive, active, and enthusiastic role in all aspects of your learning. Always a yes, no matter what the question, enriching the environment around you. Emma Lasky. Also, there's something missing from you, or someone will send you what's supposed to be there. Emma, you are so knowledgeable, surprising your teachers always with what you know, and showing real interest and involvement in everything that you do. Sorry. Maxwell Levine. Maxwell, the joy you bring to your classes is infectious, as is your willingness to take on a positive leadership role, always reaching out to help your peers. A true match. Abby Lewis. Abby, you are so enthusiastic in your learning, truly kind to others, hardworking and respectful. You're always helpful with others, and your ever-present willingness to participate in what is asked of you is so appreciated and adds so much to your classes. Shayna Martyr. Shayna, you are such an independent thinker, You have a wide range of knowledge with great participation. You enthusiastically enrich your classes with your knowledge and great sense of humor. Brody Powers. Brody, you are a young man with firm beliefs who has been willing to explore Jewish life in a meaningful way. Willing to challenge established ideas, but always respectful. A pleasure to explore with. Ava Robinson. Ava, your joy and enthusiasm for learning and participating is so clear to see. You bring that same pleasure to your classes, enriching them and your peers with your kindness, your background knowledge, and positive manner always. Ethan Robinson. Ethan, you have such a positive outlook and attitude, pitching in when needed, setting a great example in behavior and cooperation always. Your motivation and enthusiasm always comes through in whatever we do. And that word is like that.
Yours.
Daniel Sandberg. Daniel, you influence others in such a positive way, leading by example and always sharing interesting and relevant information. You take on your responsibilities as a student, are always focused on the activities and discussions, and bring so much to your classes. Danny Schnare. Daniel, your wonderfully constructive ideas and thoughts contribute so much to the classroom with an impressive understanding and knowledge about the topics we've covered this year. Your positive attitude has enriched your classes. Kate Seidler. Kate, you have a wonderful range of knowledge, always enthusiastically contributing to classes, and are a natural leader. You're always determined to do your best as a student and clearly a very good friend. Brooke Wiles. Brooke, you have such a positive attitude, always willing to take on a project or activity, always willing to work with friends with such great results. A pleasure to have in every class. What I'd like to do is I'd like you all, I'd like when you open up the book, read what we wrote, because it's really